real smart dealers are, doing pickup and drop off service, doing overnight work, so that they pick up the car, when you get home after work and drop it off in the morning before you go to work.
Exactly.
So yeah, and that's what I love about our industry. There's so much innovation that happens.
Welcome to the Strategy with Jason podcast. Tune in for everything you need to know to stay in the know regarding the automotive industry. Here's your host, Jason Harris.
Hey, what's going on, Podcast Nation? It is Jason Harris here, and thank you for joining me on another episode of The Drive. I am here in hot Las Vegas, Nevada, with the one, the only, the oh-so-famous Randy Kobat. Randy, what's going on, bud?
Hey, Jason, how are you?
Did you like that?
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Maybe I'll put
it's not as hot as it's been, though. It's cooler on.
Actually, yeah, just the other day it was smoking hot, but it is a little cooler right now. That's because we just got a couple cool guys in the car. That's why. Randy, thank you so much for taking the time to come jam with me.
Thanks for having me there.
I've been looking forward to this because anytime I get to talk about fixed ops and used cars and reconditioning, I get excited about it. So these are definitely topics that I love to jam about. But hey, I like kicking off these stories, Randy, with a little origin story, right? Because I got to be honest with you, I'm just fundamentally fascinated because I always find it very cool to find out how people kind of stumbled their way into the automotive industry. So let's start there, Randy. How did you get started in this crazy world we call the automotive industry?
Yeah, I came out of graduate school with my MBA, and I was working in consulting for a few years. And I was fortunate enough to go to work for a company called Automatic Data Processing, ADP Dealer Services.
I think I've heard of those
25 years ago, as head of strategy. And so that was my first foray into automotive technology in the automotive industry. I spent 10 years with them in a variety of roles. As I said, strategy. I led a sales and operations team. I led a business unit for them in fixed ops, the service pricing guides business at the time. And then my last couple of years there, actually, I moved over to the payroll side of the business, and I really missed automotive. So I left, and I went to go to work for a couple smaller companies, startups, private equity backed. One didn't work out so well. The other one did work out so well. I was working out here in Las Vegas with Les Silver and Service Repair Solutions, which is now AutoPoint, part of Solera. And then after that business was sold, I went to work for Cox Automotive for 9 years, leading a variety of different business units, including vAuto, DealerTrack DMS, Kelley Blue Book Instant Cash Offer. So it's been a great 25 years, and I love it. It's like the biggest small industry in the world. Everybody knows everybody.
Seriously, it's an episode of Cheers every single time we go to an event like this. It's just like, man, you've worked for some juggernauts, though.
I've had the chance to work for the two biggest companies in automotive, which is really fortunate.
Yeah, which is cool. I mean, I can imagine you've kind of seen the good, the bad, and ugly, and I'm not just talking about the movie, but well, let's get into some of our topics today, because I think it's so timely, kind of what's just going on, in the economy and the market. It's interesting, man. I don't know about you, but like, I can be talking to one person on the East Coast and then talk to someone on another person on the West Coast, and I can get wildly different kind of, just updates as far as what they're seeing in the market and how things are changing and how they're approaching it. So let's start off with the used car side, because for me, it feels like it's just kind of a little bit of everywhere right now. What are you seeing in the market right now?
Yeah, I think we're back to normal, as much as, automotive can be normal.
I mean, we actually have to sell cars, right?
Yeah, we have to actually execute again, right? You can't just throw a car up online and get whatever you want from an asking price perspective. It was a fascinating time to live through during COVID, where, our industry under-manufactured 8 to 9 million new cars during that time. And so that's why you saw used car prices skyrocket, because new cars, were just not available unless you were willing to wait for something to come off the line. And so, yeah, dealers were really benefiting from that big change in supply and demand. Now, what's kind of still interesting is the after effects that's happening. So
ripple effect, right?
yeah. So when you under manufacture 8 to 9 million cars, those cars will be coming off lease. They'd be 3 years old now.
It's not happening.
And yeah, so they're not coming off lease. So there's still a challenging supply issue on the used car side, but it's coming back, and it's coming back to where dealers now really have to execute and have good quality photos, good quality descriptions, and good quality cars to sell again.
Well, and I think times like this, I actually think it's kind of cool because I don't know about you, but this is kind of what I see is you start to see kind of the real operators out there.
For sure.
You know what I mean? They're definitely there's some operators that really kind of operate their business from behind their desk, and I get the opportunity to really visit a lot of dealerships out there, and got to work with some amazing used car operators out there, and it's always I identify patterns. I like to see patterns, right? And I can see patterns in some of the most successful operators out there, and they're in it, like they're in it. They are day to day in the processes that are required to move the inventory in a very timely manner.
Absolutely.
And I think you guys have some great tech that I'd like to kind of deep dive into to support some really uber successful used car operators out there.
Yeah.
So let's do that. Let's talk a little bit about that, because I like, you kind of have like the Swiss Army knife of a bunch of little things going on. So maybe for everybody out there watching this right now that don't kind of know what are some of the the offerings and the different solutions, can we kind of do a brief summary of some of that?
Yeah, so at Repair OnDemand, we are a portfolio of 4 different businesses that we acquired and brought together. One is a handheld device that, quite frankly, we sell $12,000 to $15,000 a month on Amazon to do-it-yourselfers. It's an OBD2 device that you connect to the car, and it tells you why your engine light's on. Gives you some insight on what might be the most common fix for that engine light being on. And then we also sell a commercial grade product that we sell directly to dealers, auctions. Most of the auctions are using it now to include the scanned information on the condition report. And it's a super exciting opportunity that is kind of new for me. I've not been in that kind of diagnostic tool side of the business before. We have a few software businesses. 2 of them we sell to technicians that use our software to manage their business. So a sole proprietor paintless dent repair technician uses our software, Mobile Tech RX, to help run their business, do estimates, create invoices, take payment. And then we have a more enterprise version of our technician software called Recon Pro that technicians use in a similar fashion, but they have 20 or 30 techs that they're managing. So there's more workflow management and things like that. And it's multiple different types of services. So they might be doing paintless dent repair, wheel repair, upholstery repair, glass repair. And that software is suitable to larger organizations that are doing multiple types of services. And then one of our newer offerings is called Repair 360, and it really is a reconditioning enterprise resource planning system. It's
really cool process.
Really strong for standalone reconditioning centers that where you really need to manage parts, you need to manage workflow, and we've had some great success with some large dealer groups that have standalone reconditioning centers. And so we're bringing these solutions together and the capabilities that we have to build a network for car repair, so that when you have not only your internal work that you're doing at a franchise dealership, but the external work that a third-party technician is doing, we can bring that process together for the 20 million ROs that are created on the used car market when you're the 20 million cars that are going to be sold this year.
And it creates just kind of a really cool ecosystem, the way you guys have kind of like bundled this together. And I can see why the 4 different companies, I can see where they kind of overlap and kind of work within each other and stuff like that. And what I think I really kind of admire about you guys' tech is how people process driven it is. I find too often, I mean, Randy, we've both seen this, right? There's a lot of tech companies get into the automotive industry, And I hate to say it, but a fair amount of them don't have that automotive operational understanding, and you can almost see it in the tech itself, and it's like, looking at your guys' UI, I mean, you can see that it was really kind of like, let me think about the person that's going to be using this and the processes that they need to execute to ultimately get the job done, and then I'll build the technology around them and put it like a nice little bow on a Christmas present. So I appreciate that guys, your guys' approach to that, and it's funny. I actually have a story because I do have one of those sensors, by the way. Yes. So it just recently saved me about $3,000. So I took my to Rivergate Muffler shop down the street, and they told me that the primary ECU was toast. All right, and it was throwing this code that would tell you that it was toast.
Yep.
And I was just like, I don't know. So I grabbed the tool myself, bought it on Amazon, plugged it in. Sure enough, I did get the same code, but it actually gave me 3 or 4 things I should check before that, which I thought was interesting because the tech didn't do it. And the very first thing it said to check was the battery.
Yep.
Right? And I was like, okay, well, I'll go spend $150 on a brand new battery and see if that takes care of it. Sure enough, Randy, that's exactly what it was.
Absolutely.
I put a brand new battery in, put the thing back in, no code fired, right? And the shop was going to charge me $3,000 for something that just needed a battery. Anyways, I digress.
And I think your experience is spot on, and we're seeing a lot of interest from the appraisal software tools in the marketplace. And having ran Viato for 9 years, that was one of the things that our customers at the time were always asking for. I can walk around the car, I can see if there's a dent, and I can estimate how much that dent is going to be to pop.
Sure.
I can see what the tire tread depth is, and I can determine how much it's going to cost to replace the tires. But what's going on inside the engine? And so having that inexpensive, easy to use tool that you plug into the car can save dealers a ton of money on trade-in and the appraisal process. And we're excited to partner with not only the dealers, but the software providers as well.
Because that can be huge. Make it huge. Like I said, it could be $3,000 difference in just what the trade value would have been. And look, if I was a used car manager, I'm not a technician. I don't know what code F962B means. But that code meant $3,000. So but it was cool to just be able to at least check it and to know it, and and I think that's a huge value thing. So so to kind of get back to the used cars, because there are some things that you other stuff that you guys are doing right now that's also support the used car side. What would be the primary offering for the used car side of the business?
Yeah, so the biggest opportunity that is kind of re-emerging, if you will, because dealers have to really be better at executing on the used car side, is the reconditioning process. So we're going to sell 20 million used cars this year at retail. Each one of those is an RO that needs to be managed. And what really makes it complicated is it's a ecosystem of both work that happens inside a franchise dealer, but it's also work that gets outsourced. And many times there's specific work that gets done that the fixed ops department does. But then when it comes to PDR, windshield repair, things like that, that's actually managed many times by the used car department. So there's lack of transparency, inefficient communication between the two departments, which can create a ton of inefficiency trying to get that car frontline ready in a few days rather than 5 or 8 or 10 days.
Look, I don't think anybody out there watching, listening right now would disagree that, let's say, there are definitely departments that act like silos, and and the form of communication could be like Morse code or flags back and forth, and that's kind of the extent of it. But look, and this is me putting my dealer principal hat on. Look, there were definitely times I had to take my used car department and my fixed ops department and just sit them down and say, look, this ain't working. All right, like lack of communication, nobody knows where the car is, customers coming in, you have it out for a windshield. Whatever. Anything I'm saying, I know if you're watching and listening, you've been there at least once, So I think this is cool. So this is it's all clear. It's in one place, and I know, where the vehicle is at any given moment. If service manager isn't there and I'm the used car manager and I can just pull it up, I don't need to do what I would normally do and call him and he ain't answering, and then I'm in the back, I'm walking around half the lot and haven't found the bloody thing, right? Like, so I think there's a lot of value kind of around the tool that you guys have built, both from an efficiency and organization and a time speed. What would you say you've seen kind of be like the primary value of that, though?
I mean, there's hours of admin cost that is saved just because we created a solution that in a lot of ways mimics the work that happens on the customer pay or the warranty side. So there is a real detailed inspection that can be created by fixed ops or by the used car manager. And the specific line items in that internal RO is part of, can be outsourced to your outsourced provider. So it all shows up as a single inspection with all the work that needs to be done. That's either going to be done by the fixed ops department or it's going to be done by the third party technician. And
because normally that would be done in multiple ROs.
It's going to be a piece of paper. It's going to be multiple or it's not even going to be tracked as an RO when it's the third party work.
It would come in as an invoice. How often did my controller? So I was funny. I've worked almost every position inside of the dealership, right? And I was a controller. And I tell you, one of the things that would just light me on fire, all right, is a deal that was completely closed, done, delivered, literally burning gas and smashing bugs. And here I got an invoice from the paint deck guy, and I got an invoice from the windshield guy. 2 weeks later, after the vehicle's already been done, and now I got to go back down. Salesperson's already been paid out on the commission for it. They've already done. What am I supposed to do with this thing?
Well, and you might get an invoice from your windshield guy that's got 12 cars.
Oh yeah. Oh gosh, all the time.
And we create real streamlined ways that you can see what that expense is per VIN, so you can track your true costs in the DMS better.
And when speed is everything right now, that's insanely important, right? Like, I mean, that is the worst thing. I'm thinking as a salesperson, because this has happened to me as a salesperson. The worst thing that you can do to a salesperson's morale is deliver a vehicle, pay them a commission, then come back and say, crap, I'm sorry. There was $995 that was not associated with that. We're going to deduct that from the gross, and now you actually owe us $275. And we'll take it out of your next deal. Like, it's happened. I know. Okay, I want to get into just kind of what, because you've seen, like I said, the good, the bad, the ugly. You see a lot of out there. What are some of, you would say, the most proactive strategies or processes that you're seeing kind of in the used car department? Like, what do you see in the, that cream that rises to the top, those great operators? Like, what do you see out there?
Yeah, I think one of the things that really became extremely important during COVID, and has, kind of lived to remain, if you will, similar to digital retailing, where consumers wanted to buy a car in a safe manner from their couch. Alternative sourcing opportunities for used cars has become increasingly important. Before the pandemic, you would see, 40% from trade-in, 60% from the auction. Now it's much more diverse. You're seeing off-the-street purchases, service drive acquisitions. There's a lot more opportunities to find good quality used cars that dealers are taking advantage of and building really strong processes around and maintaining them even now, when the pandemic is over.
What is the, because there's so, I hear, I find almost every kind of used car operator I've worked with or have had the opportunity to sit down and consult with, they all kind of seem to have a different stat that they just kind of seem to hone in on. And they because it's like, yep, that is what I'm going to determine me to be successful. Have you seen the same? And what stats do you see, them really kind of focusing on right now?
Yeah. I think one of the really interesting stats is high performing dealers are acquiring 10 to 15% of the ROs that are turned into good quality used car acquisitions.
Oh, from the service
from
department.
the service department.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah. And that's that. And that I'd like to kind of find that rabbit hole. Let's go down that rabbit hole actually, because to really kind of execute that, there are some series of processes that really have to be embedded. Kind of like paint the picture for the people out there watching, listening. What is kind of some of the best kind of version you've seen so far?
Yeah, I think some of the tools that are available really give the used car manager an opportunity to see what kind of used cars are coming in the day before. So the night before, my Wednesday service drive appointments, I'm going through those used cars and I'm seeing which ones are going to fill a need for my used car strategy. And I'm going to identify those. I'm going to actually run a quick appraisal on them before they show up so that I can have an intelligent conversation with the consumer when they show up on the service drive. So I think, there's proactive ways to get prepared for when that consumer shows up.
Yeah, I get it. I mean, you're going shopping.
You are, from your service drive.
You're going shopping from your service drive, but you're looking out that kind of that week and a half out in advance. So it's really being, I think you're right. Like, and we know that we make more money, all right, and we usually spend less money in reconditioning when it's a vehicle that's currently kind of within our community of customers,
for sure,
right? So I mean, that is the best vehicle I can ever buy, is the one that we sold and the one that we reconditioned. And honestly, from a sales perspective, I find salespeople have the easiest time selling those. They're like, we sold it, we serviced it.
It's a cream puff.
And it's a cream puff. Oh my God.
Well, that's another big metric, right? That really good quality used car operators really focus in on, and that's cost to market.
Yeah.
So cost to market for an auction vehicle is 90, 92, 94%.
Yeah.
So that means you're retailing that car, 6% margin, something like that, without reconditioning costs. A car acquired on the service drive, on trade, off Craigslist listing that you proactively reach out to, is 65, 75% cost to market. So significant margin opportunity when you look at alternative sources for dealers or
now,
for used cars.
Since we are kind of like talking now about kind of the fixed ops side, and I look, I'm with you. I mean, I've seen some operators go as far as putting the sales desk inside their drive-throughs, and like really, really committing, to the process, both in a proactive way, also in a real-time way by committing an individual, to that. On the fixed ops side, what are you seeing? Like, I think it's kind of funny right now because I kind of see ups, downs, and people telling me I can't take another customer for a month. Other ones going, I need more customers. Like, to me, I don't know. It seems to be a mixed bag, but I'm curious what you're seeing on the fixed ops side out.
Yeah, I think there's definitely, as cars continue to age, and I think the average car now on the road is 10, 11 years old.
Which is crazy. That's
consumers are keeping their cars much longer with the affordability challenges that exist today. So fixed ops is an important part of the business. But I think the other stat that I've seen is only 20% of the available opportunities in any given geography are going to the franchise dealer. And so there's a ton of opportunity to try to hang on to customers once the warranty has expired.
You know what? That's always been kind of a bone of contention for me because, and if the OEMs don't look at it that way, right? The OEMs look at it kind of at this certain time. And if you're a franchise dealer, your OEM is telling you you're doing a good job, but you're doing a good job based on their stats. Yeah, right. All right. They're not telling you how many customers you're losing once that warranty is expired. I mean, frankly, they don't care. That's not how many people I've talked to that says, oh no, we don't have a retention problem. My OEM is telling me that I'm in top 10 in my region right now for this. And it's like, but have you looked and seen what is coming out when the warranty expires? And that bleed out, it can be huge. I've seen upwards of 40 to 60% just bleed out. I'm curious if you've seen the same. And I'd love to kind of get some ideas how you think we can, from a strategic perspective, stop the bleeding, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. You see that bleed out once the warranty expires, and then it becomes a game of reducing friction and improving convenience. And it's not economical to put a franchise dealer service department on every corner like you might see at Jiffy Lube. So real smart dealers are doing pickup and drop off service, doing overnight work, so that they pick up the car when you get home after work and drop it off in the morning before you go to work.
Exactly.
So yeah, and that's what I love about our industry. There's so much innovation that happens, and it's because it's despite what you hear about some of the larger dealer groups and the publicly traded dealer groups, at the end of the day, our customer has like 2.5 rooftops, and they're a family-owned business that is the fabric of the community in any whatever part of the country where they operate. They sponsor the Little League baseball team, and they're true entrepreneurs, and they figure out ways to make their business successful.
I'm with you. It definitely is. It is a battle of convenience. Like, I hate to say it, but if you looked in the top left corner of my windshield, it's going to say Jiffy Lube or Mr. Lube or whatever Express Oil was right down the street from me. And I got to be honest with you, it's not that I didn't try to contact my Nissan dealership. It was simply, I called them and they're like, I can get you in Tuesday of next week, and it's like, and I get it. And I know people out there watching and listening, well, what am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to do? Like I that's how many texts I have. That's how many hours I can fill, But you're right. I mean, we are seeing, some very proactive or progressive, dealers out there. I mean, look at Bozards, for example, right? Like, I mean, they have vans out. I can't remember the number. I thought he said like 10 or 12 of them or something like that, of these vans. And it's a learning curve.
The mobile repair is definitely starting to emerge.
Yeah. I mean, it's not. I don't know if it's okay for us to say, well, I can't do anything about it anymore. I think we're at that stage now. It's like, really, can you not? Or do you just need to really kind of just dive into a process and maybe possibly an investment? I mean, I can't imagine what the investment was for Bozart to put together, those mobile vans, but I do know that they're profitable at it. I just recently, we had a podcast on the Golden Wrench podcast. We were
that
talking
was a great one. I heard that one.
It was great. I'm like, I am going out to visit there. Like, I really want to see this happen because, like you said, the most proactive dealers out there are figuring it out. And I think right now what they're figuring out is that we're in a battle of convenience. And at the end of the day, yes, consumers care about price. And yes, I know the argument you're going to have, but I'm $20 cheaper or whatever.
I don't think it's a price issue or a cost issue because the dealership and the Jiffy Lube expense is about the same. It's not a price issue. It really is convenience. And back to reconditioning, I've seen some of our other customers that are really good operators. They're doing reconditioning work after hours. So they're freeing up capacity during the day or, during the peak times for the customers. So they're opening up, slots where they can increase capacity and then do the reconditioning work that might be tying up a bay during the day after hours. And some of the techs, that are doing the reconditioning work, they hire them to do reconditioning work, and as they learn, they become master techs, and then they can take on bigger, more complicated work. And that's one of the ways that they're fighting the technician shortage.
Well, and you know what? I mean, it makes sense. I mean, I was talking to a good friend of mine. I mean, he started his automotive career, 25 years ago as a technician. And, he had the shittiest shift that was there. I mean, it was just the normal thing at the time that you put in, you were the new guy. you had the crappier shifts, but that changed. So look, I'm with you. I do love our industry because if there's a will, there's a way, and they will find it. And there's some great examples out there. Like I said, Ozard, you saw what Ben Stock did.
Brian is a great innovator. Yeah.
He just, the acceptance of like, no, that's not an acceptable answer. It's like, we're not going to tell them that we can't do it. It's an unacceptable answer. We just have to figure out a process and a means to do it. And you're right. It is kind of cool. It is super cool to be kind of in the industry right now and just watch some of these guys just say, no, I'm not going to accept the norm. I'm going to figure this out. Well, look, Randy, I know we're getting towards the tail end of our time today. And I really, really enjoy this conversation. And I love that, what you guys are doing, the offerings that you guys have with the company, everything we talk about, it all connects together, right? It's like, if you are going to go out and execute, these level of strategies, you need to be more efficient. Communication's everything. I'll tell you, I know for a fact, when I had to sit down with my service manager and used car manager, and there was some type of argument, 99.9% of the time, it was just a matter of some breakdown and miscommunication somewhere along the lines that they didn't know that was going to happen and the deal was already delivered. Whatever it was always typically a breakdown in communication. I think you guys have like just nailed it on the head in solving, that problem, which saves tons of times, thousands of dollars. So, but hey, before I let you go though, any final thoughts for everybody out there that was watching or listening?
I think what is kind of an interesting stat that not many people think about is, I mentioned there 20 million used cars are going to be sold at retail this year, 20 million ROs. An average RO for reconditioning is $1,000. So it's a $20 billion opportunity to improve efficiency and effectiveness, which can be really meaningful for a dealer's bottom line. And so we're super excited about playing a role here, and it's been a great experience so far over the last year that I've been a part of this business.
Heck of a ride, huh? It's cool. It's a cool. Hey, look, the little niche that you guys, it's beautiful and it's so much fun. And I think you're right. It is just so much opportunity in that space. Hey, for everyone out there watching, listening, who maybe like to connect with you or maybe even continue this conversation or learn a bit more about your guys' solutions, what's the best way to connect?
Yeah, I would love to, hear from people. I love talking to dealers, and so feel free to reach out. Randy.Kobat, Kobat, at RepairOnDemand.com.
Awesome, Randy. Thank you so much, man, for taking the time to jam with me today. This
Absolutely.
Has been a lot of fun. And for everybody out there watching and listening, we appreciate you. Thanks for watching the show. You guys have yourself an amazing day.
Thanks for tuning in to the Strategy with Jason podcast with your host, Jason Harris. Don't want to miss new content? Be sure to check out the full podcast library at strategywithjason.com to stay in the know. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Happy podcasting.